All right, good morning, everybody. Welcome. How are you? Welcome to your new timeline. All right, the outer planets are all in their new signs. Uranus moving into Gemini today. For some of you, it did yesterday. So let's see what wants to come through this reading. I did talk quite about a bit about this in the For Whoever reading yesterday. I was talking about timelines, kind of splitting, and all kinds of things. So if you want to check that out, I'll put a link to it in the description box below. Some of you can just find it because you know where it is on the channel. Otherwise, let's take a look at what message wants to come through for this collective today. Let's see what's going on for you. Okay, underneath is stormy. We're certainly witnessing that right now. Psychic, water, and good fortune. So the best avenue feels like in this reading, there's going to be a message that comes through about how to sail through what's happening in the world right now, how to be able to navigate purposefully, embracing these new timelines, embracing good fortune, embracing new psychic gifts, embracing your feelings. If there's a emotionally immature person in your life, they are unable to do that. They are unable to countenance things that make them feel challenged or hurt or upset. So they just don't believe that they are true. They don't allow those things in their life, and it becomes a very distorted reality. So instead, your job is to work with your feelings and transmute those feelings, take lessons from things. And not every single thing in our life is meant to be, we're not always meant to be on this like upswing and everything's wonderful. We're not really always meant to do that. Lessons, I've yet to meet a person who has a good life now that didn't go through some trials and tribulations in the past. If especially, I've talked about this in the past too, if you avoid difficulties all the time, then usually that's when tower moments happen. And to go straight at things that are on your path that require you to build strength, endurance, right? Resistance training for your body is all about making your muscles stronger. So this is the same kind of thing, that there's not a life on this planet that doesn't have some resistance at some point. And if somebody continually skirts accountability, continually skirts difficult choices, and always takes the easy way out of things, there's going to be tower moments, without a doubt. And you may, as my mother used to say, you may not ever see them, but you'll know that they're happening when this person has like these big epiphanies or has these major life changes, and you're like, what happened there? Like, oh, tower moment happened. Maybe they won't admit it to you, but that's usually what happens. The Queen of Wands, the Strength card, there's the resilience. The Knight of Pentacles, the Ace of Cups, and the Seven of Wands, there's the resistance. Okay, so there's new choices coming in, new beginnings coming in that are going to be stronger because of this resistance that you've had in the past. A lot of you have had a lot of resistance. I see the comments. I know what you're saying. I hear you during Pathfinders talking about difficulties and how do I navigate this, and what do I do with this, and how do I let go, and how do I detach, and all of these experiences that when we have challenging things, we're like, okay, I just want to get right to it. And those are all lessons that we're learning about how to do those things. And part of detachment is like 100% acceptance of a current situation. And sometimes people can't detach because they aren't 100% accepting of a situation. If they don't take accountability in their own way for what's going on, like, how did I get here? And it doesn't mean anybody's blaming anybody. It just means that if you take accountability for situations in your life and say, oh, okay, I get it. this is, this is because I'm learning this lesson. That doesn't sound like blaming language to me. That sounds like language that says, yeah, this is a part of my life that I'm getting stronger in. Okay. So King of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, the Hierophant. So Uranus just left Taurus and is in Gemini today. And Uranus is going to be going back into Taurus this fall. This summer, we're going to get a preview of what's going to be happening for the next 20 years or so. While Pluto is transiting Aquarius, Uranus will be transiting the sign of Gemini. Uranus is only going to be in that sign of Gemini for about 7 or 8 years, till 2033, 2032, something like that. And then Uranus is going to move into Cancer. And we will have a different energetic experience of sudden aha moments in terms of feelings, in terms of our homes, in terms something else is going to be happening when Uranus moves through Cancer. But right now, Uranus moving through Gemini, lots of different energies of truth, not lots of avenues of decisions are coming up. And there's going to be, I feel like there's something here about traditional versus non-traditional. And most of the time when we talk about that, we're talking about Aquarius energy. When Uranus moves into Gemini, it's going to be trining Pluto in Aquarius. And what that means is a trine is a simpatico-ness, an alignment with those two energies. Like one lesson feeds another lesson. Pluto having this transformational energy in Aquarius to go toward the unconventional. And Uranus in Gemini that says, hey, the story's got to change. In order for you to upend some kind of traditional thing in your life that basically isn't in alignment with your values anymore, you're going to have to make some unconventional choices. You can't do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Virgo wants to. Virgo believes in systems. Virgo believes, but Virgo also sees that, okay, if I put a value in here that's different than what I did before, I'm going to get on the outside, on the output, I'm going to get something different. So if I don't want to do that, if I don't want to get some different answer, I'm just going to keep putting the same value in over and over again, and I'm getting the same result. But if things aren't making you happy in your love life or in your work life, then you got to put something else in, something different. You got to make a different choice. You got to embrace a different part of your personality. You've got to allow lessons to come in. You've got to, and then, oh, okay, I'm different. And so I'm the different value. I'm plugging myself into this certain situation. Y'all on the spiritual path, you're different. Why would work stay the same? Why would your friends stay the same? Why would your family stay the same? You're different. This spiritual awakening is upending a lot of things. You're right about that. You know why? Because you're the difference. You're the value that's being plugged into that spreadsheet that's no longer 4, now it's 17. Oh yeah, that's going to yield a different answer. Knight of Cups. So you're not going to get the same old people coming around. You're not going to get the same old problems coming around. They won't be problems anymore. So you might get the same old people coming around, but they're not problems anymore. You don't choose them anymore. Like, oh yeah, they just fall away. That's why if you're seeing something, you're like, yeah, but I don't care about that anymore. That's not a thing for me anymore. You're just not choosing it anymore. It ceases to exist in your life. You see, there's people in your life who want to anchor themselves in the old ways of doing things. And so they keep coming at you, trying to make you different, trying to make you conform to their way of doing things. And maybe at one point that was a hook for you. Well, I'm the good daughter. I'm going to have to do that. But if you take that role and go, okay, that's no longer me, because it's a role. It's not a human. It doesn't have a lot of humanity to it. Oh, wow. So now I'm like, I'm compassionate, but I'm also aware of my own needs. And that changes the equation. Knight of Cups, Page of Wands, Five of Cups. So people do fall out of your life. Situations don't show up anymore. Right? Because it doesn't, you're not attracting it. What you focus on is what you're paying attention to, is what you're driving toward your own experience. I'm focusing on my peace. I'm getting more peace. And I got to stand up for it. Right? So if something comes across your path that isn't a part of your peace or isn't in alignment with your peace, then you just say no to it. I stop managing other people's responses to that. I stop managing other people's reactions to my truth. It's not my job. I thought it was, but it's not. Other people are allowed to have their own reactions. You don't have to stick around and listen to it, but that's your choice. The Temperance card, the Ace of Wands. Boy, this card has come out a lot. So I feel like this is about, and the Two of Cups. This is about Archangel Michael sort of elevating the process here, putting you on, like, literally on a new path. And this is something brand new. Okay, this Uranus in Gemini is going to open up a world of possibilities. No longer a binary choice. And I feel like some of you are going to be like, wow, I wasted so much time thinking this was a binary choice. Either it was this person or nobody in my life. Either, it was this direction or nothing. All or nothing kind of thinking. I feel like a lot of you are going to be like, oh, wow, there's a lot more choices than that. It's like thinking that this person is the only one on the planet for you. And sometimes that's what happens with twin flame thinking. I've seen that a lot with other readers talk about, like, that's the only person on the planet for you. And that is 100% not true. That person has a specific purpose on this planet for you. But in terms of relationship, there's a lot of other soulmate energy choices that you can make. It doesn't mean you're not living your purpose. It doesn't mean you're not going to embrace your truth. It doesn't mean you're not going to, fulfill your mission. What if your mission is about seeing that? What if that is the mission? That I don't have to sacrifice myself for this dogma, for this belief system. I don't have to do that. What if that's your purpose with that person? That's interesting. Think about that. Because I feel like Uranus is this, oh, wow, never thought about it like that before kind of energy. And I see this Ace of Wands looking at this Two of Cups and saying, fulfillment in my life doesn't only come from having children. I can birth something else in this world. I can birth a foundation that helps people. I can have birth a new community that brings fulfillment in terms of the relationships that I make there. I can, right? Like, there's just not one way. There's not this unitary, everybody must do things in one way. And I did talk about this yesterday, that in 1965 and 1966, Pluto and Uranus were conjunct. And that meant that it was kind of blowing apart the status quo. And we've seen that since the 1960s. And this has all been one big, long conversation about what's the right path. And I feel like that question basically got people thinking that there is only one right path. But what if that's not true? What if now that Pluto is trining Uranus now in Gemini, and they're saying, oh, open yourself up to thinking there's more than one way. There's more than one way. There's more than a choice, a binary choice. We're seeing that in a lot of realms right now. There's not just I work at a 9-to-5 job or I'm unemployed. There's a lot of stuff in between there, right? And there's plenty of people who do all kinds of things that are outside of what used to be the norm, right? We're seeing that in the LGBTQ community. We're seeing that in trans community. We're seeing it in all kinds. That experience, that choice has been available since time immemorial. It's nothing new. It's not new. Just read about the Roman Empire someday, okay? I'm telling you. It's just that it's about, there's a sense of domination and control that's wanting it to be one way, my way or the highway. And that's what we're upending right now. So there might be a time when your preference, your choice, may not be embraced by everybody around you, in which case you get to make a choice. You get to make another choice. Instead of banging your head against a wall trying to get mom to be on board with this, okay, you're not on board with this. Okay. I'm going to live my life, and you can and I feel like it's a process for people. People get to the place where they're like, you know what? I am who I am, and that's all that I am. Popeye, right? I am this person, and I'm going to find my tribe. And if you don't want to have a relationship with me, fine, that's your choice. I'll miss you, but I'm still going to be me. And if you love somebody, you embrace who they are. And you have to work on that belief system. And so that's something that is going to be more and more, because there's going to be this sense of there's more than one choice. We're not going to just push people into these boxes anymore. Okay. So Fool in reverse. It's taken us a while. 4 of Wands, the King of Wands, the 8 of Swords, and the Tower card. I knew it's coming out here. Tower, Wheel, Emperor, Sun. That is powerful energy of no longer kind of forcing people into boxes, into the ways of living. It is on our path. Whoopsie, come on back here. The Fool in reverse jumped out. This says to me that we're hesitating at this crossroads because we think it's one way or another way. What if there are many ways? What if there's way more choices than we think? This is on our path. This is on our path. And I feel like the My Way or the Highway crowd is going to be diminished in power. In this summer, you're going to see these stories come up. The My Way or the Highway crowd, when it hurts people, are going to be diminished in power. The Ace of Wands and the 2 of Cups. King of Swords, 8 of Wands, 9 of Pentacles, and the Queen of Pentacles. And I feel like a lot of us are going to really then be able to say, okay, well, this is the constellation of stuff I believe in. And I also feel that though the Ace of Swords is not here, we do have this Tower energy. I feel like there is some kind of foundational element of truth that is going to matter. You can say, I don't believe in the truth, but you're not going to be able to say that's not the truth. You're going to say, okay, well, I don't like that truth, or I'm not going to embrace that truth, or whatever. But there's going to be some kind of foundational element, because Uranus is fundamentally Aquarian energy. And Aquarian energy is about uniqueness. We all get an opinion. But they're underneath it. The original ruler of Aquarius is Saturn. foundational. There is a foundational truth to things that is going to be, I don't care if you don't like gravity, it still works. If I drop this pencil, it's going to fall to the floor. What pencil? If I drop this book, it's going to fall. I don't care if you don't like gravity, it still exists. And you can choose to be like, well, I don't like that. Okay. And there's some kind of sense of that level of truth that we have been missing for a while now. And that is going to come back into play because this is Jupiter energy. I feel like this has something to do with Jupiter trining the North Node happening in September. So I know we're going to go through the summer and we're going to see all of these storylines unfold. And then something about Jupiter in Cancer, trining Pisces, trining the North Node in Pisces. And the North Node is our collective mission. Pisces is about a spiritual truth. Pisces is about the connection to God. There's something here that is going to come through on that level of intelligence, right? Where we're all connected. We're each a piece of God, right? There's some kind of alignment that's happening. Can you make other choices? Sure. But there is a truth. And I feel like we're going to see that. So let's keep going with this reading. I am going to look at what you don't see coming. We're going to talk more about what's happening the rest of this summer. I know this is kind of a bigger picture reading, but the link is below if you want to continue on. Pathfinders, let's just keep going. All right, I hope you enjoyed that video. If it was helpful to you, please consider liking this video and sharing it with anybody who might have a need for similar kind of information. And if you like this video, check out these videos.